Good morning in there, out there, from in here, out here. Welcome to Sentimentalist. Vivi's nose. Vivi, we're going to be cuddled up here, aren't we? Yeah. All the people want to see Vivi. She's been barking. You may not believe this. There are invisible deer. And there are 5 of them. And you can see them, right? Can you see out there? Well, anyway, that's where they are, or were. Oh, slurp, slurp, slurp. So welcome to Sentimentalist. Morning, Mark. Mariana, who's we were with last night on our landscapes poetry group. Oh, that's a good time. And Annie's our dear friend who had bypass surgery and is having a tough time with it. We did get some assurance from some people yesterday that it does take a long time for recovery. So we hope Annie, Baby Snows already. This is Viv. Wait a minute. Did we start over? Is that what happened? Did you know we have invisible deer? Okay, I set a world record yesterday. I was out this window. I was pulling down dead trees. I'm really sore this morning from that. And I found golf balls. Because way over there through the woods is a driving range. And it's run by a church. And I don't know about you, but I just find that a wonderful fundraising thing. And on Sunday the people leave the church and go play golf. Don't they anyway? I mean, America has Sunday for the United States, I think, is sports and church. Yeah, pretty much. So I found golf balls out there yesterday. How many? 22. Didn't we? Huh? Oh, are we stretching? Are we looking? What are we seeing? Did they come in the house? Did they? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think my hair's getting a little long. So anyway, I've had a request this morning for a certain poem that isn't the kind of poem that I usually read here on Sentimentalist, but it's a request, and I like to fulfill the request by Charlie Bryce, who's a one-of-a-kind poet, living in Pittsburgh. His wife is also a poet. She's very ill. They're very kind. Charlie has a great sense of humor. His poems put humor and trauma or something serious or natural or whatever, but with oftentimes either offbeat or comic. And he's so good to me. Would you like all the thorn cuts I have? No, you wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, they're gone now, the deer. Yeah, they usually head down that way. Yeah, they're gone. Okay. Lent. I give up Lent for Lent. That's an old joke. What am I sitting on? Oh, excuse me. I better turn that off. See if there's any emergencies here. Oh, yeah. Okay, only one. it's Lent. Now, here's the thing about Lent. The tradition has been you give up something that you love, like no more chocolate covered raisins. I mean, something big like that. But I would suggest what Pastor Sal actually suggested, and that's give up something like getting angry at something doesn't deserve your anger, like Rump. He doesn't deserve your anger. He deserves indifference. But it's scaring me. So it's not self-punishment. It's self-help. I don't like that phrase, self-help. It's a way to say, instead of some sort of giving up a beer for dinner or something like that, have something that matters. No, not slurping. No. That matters too much. I'm like, because that's such a joy, If you don't slurp. We have several people, don't you? Whose spouses are hurting. I have one. Boy, is she hurting. She's now going to lie on the floor. She's hurting so bad. And when somebody's hurting, the other person's hurting too. I always think about caregivers. Wow. And takes a toll. We have a number of friends whose caregivers are pretty worn out. I have a friend, the poet Heather McHugh. She won the very prestigious and very money-making MacArthur grant several years ago. She's not written a poem since. She told me, no. What she did with all that money was develop a retreat off the coast of the state of Washington, an island, for caregivers, for them a respite, a place to maybe, renew themselves. Yeah. Keep looking out the window because the thermometer's climbing. It's almost 40. The other day it was almost 60. It's February. And there's no climate change. There's just nice weather. Yeah. And then when I was thinking about the caregivers, it would be, one of the things at least in our country, and probably in most, is the separation of the physical and the mental, and that's a big mistake. And I wish that when you went to your physician or your surgeon or whatever, that they were also coordinated with a therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, someone who could help you with the mental and emotional toil that comes from serious time. I think of Annie and her heart surgery and how she will send an email and say, we wanted her to join with us last night for our get-together of 13 remarkable poetry people. We meet on Zoom, and it's as if they're in the house here. I don't know how we've done that, except that's their wonderfulness, where they just sit there on Zoom, but they make it somehow feel like they're sitting right beside each other. It's a beautiful time, 3 hours, and as Robbie said, holy cow, it's not that I'm exhausted at the end, I'm so stimulated. And as another member, Mary Ann, said, I get a whole lot of literary magazines, and I haven't found poems in any of those magazines that hold a candle to these remarkable poems brought each month. They are. I don't know words. This is like blah, 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 blah. The poems combine such intelligence and complexity and fascination and originality. You leave. Oh, Robbie also said that you leave just seeing things differently. Or somebody said, I'm sorry, maybe Mary. We finish by everybody giving one little thing they're going to take away from the evening. And of course everybody says, oh, I have so many. But I thought last night I should say, and I did, I said, what I want to take away from tonight is all of you. Wow. I mean, I just can't imagine. And they do other things. Just Peg Padnos can do the New York Times crossword puzzle in 4.5 minutes. That's the kind of people they are. Ages range from probably 40-some to mid to late 80s. But you know what the ages are? A brilliant 12. And like, what are they called? When somebody can play piano when they're 2 years old, Julie? Oh, she doesn't have her hearing aids in. Oh, come on, Jack. Don't show your age that you can't remember what everybody knows. Thank you. You know, thank you. Yeah, that's right. Holy cow, we've had this guy with us for the last couple of weeks, Jesse Taylor. And if you need work done, Jesse Taylor, along with Craig Baker, but Jesse Taylor has put down new floors, flawless, ideas about the edgings around that made such a difference in the feel and the coziness of the house. He put in a magical backsplash, and yesterday, and I felt terrible because he left before I came out of the woods. What am I, half raccoon? And walked into the house, and he had redone the entire laundry room. Holy cow. You just want to go in there and hang out. It's like, he put a shelf in there, I don't know how he did it, and another shelf on top of that shelf, and then a floor, and we're just so grateful. And you know the other thing? Oh, what a sweet father he is. This guy loves his wife and kids. Oh, to hear him on the phone, you would melt. Yes, you wouldn't be able to come back. You'd just be, you know, a big spread of margarine on the floor. So thank you, Jesse. You know, sports, I grew up in my father, Division III and then Division I, big time stuff. Oh boy. And what he never could understand is why it was important. He told Sports Illustrated, they were so thrown by this. He told Sports Illustrated, they said, why are you a coach? He said, oh, I love this game, don't you? I mean, some people love chess, some people love, you know, I suppose today it'd be video games, but whatever, children, hide and seek. I love this game. But what I don't get is why it's important. Why are you here? And why are 20-some thousand people in the stands? And why do they get all upset? And why? And I watched one of the saddest games I've ever watched last night when our dear friend John Calipari lost again, this time at LSU, Louisiana State. Kentucky was ahead by 15 in the second half, and they lost. And do you know what happened? They lost at the buzzer because the guy missed the shot for Louisiana, and the other guy, the ball fell in his hands, and he flipped it up, and it went in. And do you know what happened before that? They lost by 1 point, and the Louisiana State guy was at the foul line, shot the foul shot. It hit the back of the rim, went all the way up to the top of the backboard, came down, up above it, came down, hit the top of the backboard, went back up again, and came right down straight through the hoop for 1 point. And that's how they won, by 1 point. How do you live with that stuff? And these people will now be screaming to fire the coach. It's all his fault. And on it goes. And I grew up in that, and it's so mean. And all my dad would say is, I love the game. And it's not about winning, it's about playing, and it's so fun to watch. My dad taught me to watch, whether a team was ahead by 20 or whatever. It's just a wonderful game to watch, and then it has to end up with a score. My father used to say to his players, don't look at the scoreboard till the end of the game. Go play. And he was a great coach. And he knew what mattered. He loved the game. Oh, boy. You know, it's like anything. Do it because you love it. I always tell my poetry people, you know, it's, and Julie told me, I think, yes, but the first time when my intro students would come in, and the first time they'd come in, and I'd say, how are we doing over here? We're getting good snooze, aren't we? Yeah? Oh, good stretch. Good stretch. That's my girl. She saves my life every day, you know. Julie hurts, and she just sits here. So my intro class, the students would come in with their first poem, and I would say to, Janie, tell me about what happened when you wrote your poem. And then they'd say, oh, it isn't any good. I said, well, what happened when you wrote it? Oh, I couldn't think of a good beginning. No, tell me what happened when, well, my ending. Maybe you can help me. My ending, and I'm so dumb, and my words aren't good, and tell me what happened when you wrote your poem. And then it, oh, well, it was really neat, because I felt I was back with my little sister, and we were out back playing with our dolls, and it just felt like I was, yeah, that's why you write the poem, okay? So you can be with your sister again. And we had poems like that last night where the people, Kathleen Markland wrote a poem about her first date. She wrote a letter, Dear Dan, and she hasn't seen Dan since. And it's about the first time. She was 15, and she went, and she was chaperoned. Oh, yeah. She went to a nightclub and had root beer. And she was right back there again. She's 80-some years old. 70 years ago. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. What happens when you write it? Thanks, Jesse. Sort of finish up with, I told you I found 22 golf balls? Yeah. I finish up, I want to mention this. We had a gathering with a fellow teaching us about Hinduism. And he was wonderful to be with, and love him dearly. And toward the end, he said, how many of you are seekers? And which is a common thing. And it struck me, I'm not much of a seeker. And I said, I'm more of a receiver. I don't have anything to seek, but I just, look, here. And there's Julie, and there's 5 deer, and, you know, I like the idea of being a receiver. Well, this is so good to be with you. This is our poem for today. Thanks for the request from Charlie Bryce. It's very funny to get a request of a poem, because you never think anybody would ever know a poem. And it's called My Brother a Star. My mother was pregnant through the first 9 games of the season. We were 7-2. I waited for a brother. My father kept to the hard schedule. Waking the morning of the 10th game, I thought of skipping school and shooting hoops. My cornflakes were ready, soggy. There was a note. The baby may come today. Get your hair cut. We were into January, and the long December snow had turned to slush. The wind was mean. My father was gone. I looked in on my mother still asleep and hoped she'd be okay. I watched her, dreamed her dream. John at forward, me at guard, he'd learn fast. At noon, my father picked me up at the playground. My team was ahead by 6. We drove toward the gym. "Mom's okay," he said, and tapped his fist against my leg. The Plymouth ship that rode the hood pulled us down the street. "The baby died," he said. I felt my feet press hard against the floorboard. I put my elbow on the door handle, my head on my hand, and watched the town. Kenner's 5 and 10, Walker's Hardware, Jarrett's Bakery, Schaefer's Barber Shop, the bank. Dick Green and Carl Stacy waved. It was a boy. We drove back to school. "You gonna coach tonight?" "Yes." "Mom's okay?" "Yes, she's fine. Sad, but fine. She said for you to grab a sandwich after school. I'll see you at the game. Don't forget about your hair." I walked in late to class. "We're doing geography," Mrs. Wilson said, "page 97, the prairie." And that night in bed, I watched this kid firing in jump shots from everywhere on the court. He'd cut left. I'd feed him a fine pass he'd hit. I'd dribble down the side, spot him in the corner, thread the ball through a crowd to his soft hands, and he'd loft a star up into the lights where it would pause, then gently drop, fall through the cheers and through the net. That game never ended. I fell into sleep. My hair was short. We were 8 and 2. That's from my mother and father. Take care. So good to be with you. Try to be cheerful. Be kind.